Imagine waking up tomorrow, no alarm, no boss, no emails, no meetings waiting for you, nobody telling you where to be, nobody checking if you're late. You simply open your eyes, step outside, look at the sunrise, and ask yourself one simple question. What should I do today? For almost 300,000 years, this wasn't a fantasy. It was everyday life for nearly all of human history. Nobody had a job, nobody earned a salary, nobody worked a 9-to-5 schedule, and yet your ancestors survived. They raised families, created art, invented music, explored new lands, and eventually built the civilizations that created the modern world. So, if there were no jobs, what did ancient humans actually do all day? Most people imagine prehistoric life completely wrong. Movies show exhausted cave people running from predators every minute, starving every day, barely surviving until tomorrow. But archaeology tells a completely different story. In fact, some anthropologists believe your ancestors may have had more freedom than you do today. Think about your own life. You probably spend 8 hours working, then commuting, then answering messages, then worrying about tomorrow's work. By the time you're finally free, you're too tired to enjoy it. Now imagine a world where your time didn't belong to a company, where there was no boss, no office, no paycheck, only your family, your friends, and nature. It sounds impossible, but that's exactly how humans lived for thousands of generations. So what were they doing if they weren't going to work every morning? The answer begins with one of the biggest discoveries ever made about ancient human life. And it completely changes what we think it means to be busy. The biggest surprise isn't that ancient humans worked. It's how little they had to work. For decades, scientists believed prehistoric life was one endless struggle. Wake up, find food, don't die. It sounded logical, until researchers actually began studying the last hunter-gatherer societies still living traditional lifestyles. And what they found shocked almost everyone. Groups living in Africa, Australia, and South America showed the same surprising pattern. Most adults didn't spend every waking hour searching for food. Instead, or many spent only a few hours each day hunting, gathering, or making tools. The rest of their day was something modern people rarely experience: freedom. Imagine the sun rising over an ancient valley. A small family wakes beside a fire that is still glowing from the night before. Children are already laughing. Someone adds another piece of wood to the fire. Someone else cuts yesterday's meat into smaller pieces. Nobody is rushing. Nobody is checking the time, because time doesn't control their lives. Nature does. After breakfast, the group makes a simple decision. Do we need more food today? If yesterday's hunt was successful, the answer might be no. And that changes everything. Instead of spending the entire day working, people repair their spears, sharpen stone tools, weave baskets, prepare animal hides, teach children, or simply sit together and talk to a modern person. This might sound lazy, but it wasn't, because every activity made the group stronger. Every skill increased their chances of surviving the next season. Every conversation built trust. And in the ancient world, trust was more valuable than money. If someone became sick, others shared food. If a hunter failed, nobody was fired. Nobody lost a salary. The group survived together. That was their insurance system. Not banks, not companies, people. And this changes the biggest assumption we have about prehistoric life. Ancient humans weren't trying to become rich. They were trying to become valuable to their community, because the stronger your relationships, the greater your chances of survival. And surprisingly, modern psychology says our brains still work exactly the same way. We evolved to seek respect, friendship, purpose, long before we evolved to chase promotions, bonuses, or job titles. Which raises an even bigger question. If ancient humans had so much freedom, why did humans eventually create jobs? But if life worked so well, why did humans invent jobs? The The answer begins with a seed. For hundreds of thousands of years, your ancestors followed food. When animals migrated, humans moved. When seasons changed, they adapted. Nothing belonged to anyone, not the land, not the rivers, not even the forests. Then, around 12,000 years ago, something happened that changed human history forever. Some groups stopped following nature and started changing it. Instead of gathering wild plants, they planted seeds. Instead of hunting wild animals, they kept them alive. At first, it sounded like the perfect idea. Food would always be nearby. Families wouldn't have to travel long distances. Children would grow up in one place. Life should have become easier. But something unexpected happened. Farming created work. That never ended. Fields had to be planted, water carried, weeds removed, animals protected, crops guarded day and night. Then harvest arrived. And after harvest, food had to be stored before winter. For the first time in human history, there was always another job waiting, then another and another. Unlike hunting, farming couldn't wait until tomorrow. If you ignored your crops for just a few days, you could lose an entire year's food. Nature no longer worked around humans. Humans now worked around nature. Archaeologists noticed something fascinating. The skeletons of the first farmers look completely different from the hunter-gatherers before them. Their backs show years of repetitive labor. Their knees became damaged. Their teeth became worse after eating large amounts of grain. Many were shorter than their ancestors. Ironically, the people producing more food often had less healthy bodies, but farming created one thing hunting never could: surplus, extra food. And extra food changed everything. Some people no longer needed to grow food themselves. Instead, they became tool makers, builders, potters, soldiers, traders, priests, leaders. Villages became towns, towns became cities. Cities needed rules, rules needed leaders, leaders needed workers. And slowly, over thousands of years, human freedom became human schedules. For the first time, your time no longer belonged entirely to you. It belonged to the system, and that system still shapes your life today. But here's the twist almost nobody talks about. Even after inventing farming, your brain never stopped being designed for the older world, because biologically, you're still carrying the mind of a hunter-gatherer. What we really lost. Here's the strange part. Modern technology solved thousands of problems, but it also quietly created a new one. For almost all of human history, your ancestors didn't wake up asking, "How can I make more money?" They woke up asking, "What does my family need today?" Those are very different questions. Imagine sitting around a fire as the sun disappears. No phones, no notifications, no emails waiting. Children are laughing nearby. Someone is carving a piece of wood. Another person is telling a story everyone has heard 100 times. Yet everyone listens anyway. Nobody is trying to become famous. Nobody is chasing a promotion. Nobody is comparing themselves to thousands of strangers online. Success looked completely different. If your children were healthy, if your friends trusted you, if your group had enough food, you were successful. Modern psychology suggests something fascinating. Our brains still reward us for exactly those things: strong friendships, belonging, purpose, helping other people. These feelings release the same chemicals that helped ancient humans survive together. But today's world often replaces those rewards with numbers, followers, salary, status, job titles. And while those things matter, your brain was never originally designed to chase them forever. That's why achieving one goal often doesn't feel like enough. A bigger house becomes normal. A higher salary becomes expected. A promotion creates another promotion to chase. The finish line keeps moving. Your ancestors lived differently. Their finish line arrived almost every evening. The fire was burning. Everyone was safe. Food was shared. Children were asleep. The day was complete. perhaps the greatest luxury ancient humans had wasn't free time. It was knowing when enough was enough. So the next time you're rushing to another meeting, answering another email, or worrying about work that never seems to end, remember this. For nearly 300,000 years, human beings lived without bosses, without offices, without careers. Yet they still found purpose. They still laughed, they still loved, they still created music, art, stories, and communities that lasted for generations. Maybe progress didn't only give us more, maybe it also asked us to give something up. And perhaps the question isn't, why didn't ancient humans have bosses? The better question is, why do we believe we always need one? What do you think? If you could live 1 week without a boss, meetings, or a fixed schedule, but still had enough food and shelter, would you do it? Let me know in the comments. Your answer might reveal more about human nature than you think.